Oh, it's going to be one of those mornings. Okay. John, hear you there. And John's trying to figure out what buttons to push. All right. So it is a Friday. And we know what that means is that we have to start the show off as we always do on a Friday, no exceptions at all.
Well,
Come on, man.
it's
Go for it, dude.
it's Friday. Friday. Friday.
Match Day Friday here on SDH AM. John, hear you there. And we got a lot to get into today. So here's the rundown quickly. Bart Keeler is going to join us here. He's going to bat leadoff. We're going to talk USWNT. We're going to talk about the two matches in Southern California. We got to talk about Crystal Dunn. That was breaking news that happened yesterday. Breaking news inside WNT circles. We got to talk about Crystal Dunn and her legacy. And there's a program that came out I wanted to wrap up our conversation with Bart about that U.S. Soccer is investing in over the next 5 years as we get ready for the Women's World Cup. We'll talk about that. 9:30. We will catch up with the new head coach of the Greenville Triumph, and it's Dave Dixon, catching up with him. You'll enjoy my background. 10 o'clock, friend of the show, Steve Cooke, is going to drop by because it is a match day. Steve, being the technical director for Youth and Academy of Lexington Sporting Club, he is going to represent Lexington Sporting Club as they get ready to take on Atlanta United. And 10:20 and beyond, we should be getting some other guests discussing Atlanta United taking on Lexington SC, and we will get you ready for that. We got to talk about the matchups that have been released in Champions League, all the news, getting you ready for the weekend, all in one place right here over the next little bit. So that is the rundown. And so since I've given the rundown, it means that we've got to do opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Start your day with the most important stories in the game and the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee is part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied with notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate. I'll take your word on it. I'm not a coffee drinker. And rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Now, that means that we go to someone who is breaking out the WBGV gear today. Bart Keeler, how are you, sir?
I am doing well, John. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy day before the freeze, I think, part 2.
For the end of the world as we know it, get your REM all lined up as we know.
Oh, man. I was in Miami this last week for a few days. Abby's not in the chat. I don't see her yet. Abby, your people blamed me.
Whoa.
Your people blamed me for being cold. They said I brought it with me because, when I left on Tuesday morning, it was 14 degrees here. So glad to experience some bit of warm weather down in Miami, but then coming back, it's still cold, John. I don't like it.
I don't either. Morning, Ricky, by the way. So, yeah, they're going to blame us for anything and everything anyway. So, it doesn't matter.
I know.
If we can blame them for being adventurous when it comes to the salary cap in Major League Soccer, they can blame us for the weather. I see how this works. I see the trade-off. Couple of things I wanted to get in with you this morning before you have a new episode of the Soccer for USPod, where you'll probably discuss it in depth. First and foremost, Emma Hayes got to show her dance steps in Santa Barbara, California, and it was 2 friendlies. Yeah. You took care of business. You got to show more players the opportunity to see what it's like to be a part of the national team. 2 fairly easy wins. What were your takeaways from, say, 30,000 feet before we drill into it here coming up with the USWNT out in Southern California?
I think this is going to replace Camp Cupcake on the men's side. The difference is you can't call it Camp Cupcake on the women's side because there's actually good talent here from the domestic pool. So, I don't know, camp, whatever the opposite of what you think Cupcake is. It was a good practice, John, because both of these matches featured a team in preseason, right? Most of these ladies will start their preseason with an NWSL club in the coming weeks. We saw what a preseason NWSL team looks like at the Women's Champions Cup. Not great, Gotham. Let us down a little bit there, didn't you? But that said, knocked the rust off pretty well against two teams that I don't want to say they weren't taking it seriously. That's not fair to them. But I think it was very clear they saw this as well as just an opportunity to get together and play in between a long break of their World Cup qualification. Because I think when you look at the schedule, John, they had World Cup qualification back, we played in December. They were playing in December. They weren't going to have another match until March or April.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long break. So I think for Chile and Paraguay, this was just to get together with the team moment. For the U.S. to be able to use it to actually bring in new players, expose new players to the international game, massive success. That is where we're at. That's the success of the camp. To do it while playing well, that's even better.
Then you end up with it's actually before I get into that, knowing everything in its context, and that's the biggest thing that I wanted to preface this next question with. In its proper context, who do you think did well in this camp to sit there and say, okay, you might be in consideration for 18 through 30 or something like that? I know no one outside of the heavyweights, you can sit there and say, yeah, 1 through 18. But in looking at the depth that Emma Hayes has been looking at over the last couple of windows, was there anyone in this particular window in your analysis that was like, yeah, okay, I think they should be able to come back and sit there and see what their worth is as we continue to roll down this road for being a WNT?
It's interesting. Emma Hayes mentioned in one of the many press conferences she's had over the past month, I forget which one it was exactly, but basically said that there are about 6 spots open on that she believes roster. Now, I do believe that there were some players in this squad for this camp that are like already on that roster. Trinity Rodman obviously being one. I do think Mandy McGlynn and then Claudia Dickey, who started against Chile, were probably on that roster already. But there are spots open on the national team right now. When, as you mentioned, that 18 to 23, if you're looking at a tournament roster, would be. I think, and this is a little biased because it is a hometown girl, I think Croy Bethune, and Emma said as much, I think Croy Bethune showed out the best in this camp because she got to show off what makes her special in NWSL with players who aren't at the top level, right? I think a lot of these players, especially in the attacking line outside of Trinity Rodman, are, if you will, at least second choice at their position. So Croy being able to be the maestro and make some great music during both of her appearances in this camp, I think stands really well for her, especially at a very crowded position of that attacking midfield position. Because on the other player who played that position, Olivia Moultrie, played pretty well too. So I think that was good from Croy. Another player who stood out, and in a different way, but I don't know what it actually means, so I'm caveating that, was Hal Hirschfeld, who kind of played as a center back in this camp. Sure. Go on, Hal. We love that. That's kind of just nice to see versatility from her, especially in a very crowded number 6 position, defensive midfield position, because one of those players also played really well, Claire Hutton. But it's nice to see players excel. Croy Bethune, after finally looks like getting back healthy after a very long layoff with an injury. Hal Hirschfeld looking good in a different type of position. That's great results and great returns for a camp like this.
And I was, as you were getting into, before you revealed Hal Hirschfeld, that was one of the names that popped into my head.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the idea of versatility. And there are certain situations where you're limited by rosters. You can't bring in any extras. You're hamstrung because of the rules of engagement in particular competitions. And so when you have a Hal Hirschfeld sit there and it's like,
Mhm.
hey, yo, anybody want to play center back? Hal Hirschfeld raises her hand. She goes back there, proves herself versatile. To have those movable pieces on the chessboard, I think that when you can sit there and prove your worth doing other things, that obviously is going to make you more marketable to Emma Hayes going forward. So the versatility aspect was what stuck with me. And I agree with you on the idea of Hal Hirschfeld and those players like that can sit there and say, yeah, I'm here. I know it's crowded here in this camp, but I can also do this. I think that helps out marketing, I guess, if you want to call it that, for players.
Allow me to throw in one more name. You talked about versatility. We saw the versatility on display against Chile because she played on each side. Abby, I have beef with your people from South Florida. We're here. In Sears, she scores a goal on the right side. A goal that was a great goal, by the way. That was fun. She started the first half on the left side, and I mean, I think she hit the post 17 times in one half. It was a really good match. Just being, especially coming in from that left side, maybe not blistered wings. You weren't really going to see that often in a match like this where you're breaking down. Being in the box, showing up, finishing touches. I know they didn't go in. I'll take him the post more than anything. But impressive for me as well to do that on an opposite flank.
And, that's one of those, like I said, one of those things that you're staring at. So keep an eye on Sears, keep an eye on Hirschfeld and those other players in these windows that want to sit there and do the other things. They want to color outside the lines when it comes to their own coloring book, when it comes to their dossier. One of the other pieces of news that came through was Crystal Dunn, and it was interesting. We know that these moments are going to come eventually with the players that always come across our bow that we cover, but to see it, in written form, Crystal Dunn hanging them up, it was, it's sad. You get it, but she hangs it up. When you think about her legacy and whether you can take it two separate ways: professional career, national career, or you can blend them together. What do you think Crystal Dunn's legacy is as a part of U.S. soccer and its landscape?
So I do think, unfortunately for Crystal Dunn, those are two separate conversations. Now they're both great. She's still great at both conversations, but I think that's when you evaluate Crystal Dunn's career, there is NWSL Crystal Dunn, an MVP of the league, a top attacking player in the league for many, many years. That is one side of her. But then there's the national team playing left back side. And I think both of them deserve credit and praise. But I think that's kind of what if we just saw Crystal Dunn as an attacking midfielder for the U.S. national team? How would that have looked? That said, she still helped us did pretty well as a left back on the national team stage. Wins the World Cup playing left back. I think it just speaks, John, to her overall skill and knowledge of the game. And I think that's something that we will miss on the national team, but hopefully something that she has instilled in future generations. I think she was a great mentor to some of the players on the team. Sophia Wilson calls her Big Sis. If her legacy is mentoring also some of these younger players that were right behind her, and they are more like Crystal Dunn, wow, then the national team's going to be in great hands, because Crystal Dunn is just a very classy, fun, but classy, hardworking, and selfless player who, no matter what team she played on, made it better. And I think that's the number one thing for Crystal Dunn, is she made her teams better because she is just such a talented and smart soccer player.
Soccer for USPOD's Bart Keeler hanging out with us for opening kickoff here on a Freestyle Friday. It's crazy to think that we're a month away from She Believes. That's what it's like. You sit there Oh, by the way, yeah, you're a month away from She Believes. The first match for the WNT is at Geodis, March the 1st.
Yeah.
Against
Several
Argentina.
folks from Atlanta I know are going to go up. If you can, it's only a 4-hour trip and it's on a weekend. You might as well. She Believes Cup this year is going to be a little bit interesting, I think, because you have same with these friendlies, right? You got to think we are thinking about, again, this is a qualification year, World Cup qualification year for the U.S. Women's National Team. You have to beat CONCACAF teams to qualify. I think Chile and Paraguay are similar to a lot of the CONCACAF teams we may face on that level. Argentina probably a step above. Then obviously we're playing Canada, which is a CONCACAF team. They're number 2. Colombia is way better than just about every other CONCACAF team other than Canada, right? I think that's fair to say. So you're elevating the opponent level, and She Believes, while still understanding that this is getting you ready for qualification. Again, Emma talked about a couple, maybe 6 roster spots open for She Believes. So when you look at that tournament, that cues me into saying, oh, Emma's going to try to bring the best squad she can. Now, we know that won't include Mal Swanson, probably won't include Sophia Wilson. I think she kind of hinted at that. But, you're going to be bringing in the European players like Kat Macario, like Lily Johannes, like now Sam Coffey. That's going to challenge all the players that we saw from this window and say, okay, you got more competition here. How does this work? Because as much as I love Sam Coffey, to take her as an example, during She Believes Cup, she's going to be in a position battle with Claire Hutton, who played really well in this window. As much as you may love Lily Johannes, and I'm one of them, she's going to be in a position battle now, probably with maybe Olivia Moultrie, Jaden Shaw, maybe. Troy Bethune, maybe that's the position battle. So I think that is the early storyline of She Believes Cup is true position battles with your top players. At least that's what I hope. And that's what Emma has kind of teased at, is that we will actually get what Emma sees as her best squad right now. And that is really exciting because, again, as I said way back at the beginning of the year, you've got to get down to who you think your best squad is eventually, because you're going to need that for qualification.
One more thing that I wanted to discuss with you, and it came out yesterday news-wise from the U.S. Soccer Foundation. And this is something that obviously we get to keep an eye on between now and 2030. And the U.S. Soccer Foundation obviously created over 30 years ago. And so right now they serve, the U.S. Soccer Foundation serves 1 million children each year in under-resourced communities across the country, creating safe spaces, empowering coach mentors, building futures. And so they now have a program that was announced yesterday called Soccer Will, because they differentiate between what soccer does and what soccer will. And so Soccer Will is the new idea, how it was phrased by the U.S. Soccer Foundation. They want to involve 10 million more youth by the time 2030 rolls around. So Soccer Will is their commitment to change, that by scaling proven programs and meeting the needs of communities nationwide, they can expand their reach. So you're improving access to sports, safe spaces, mentors, and opportunities to build healthy habits. This is the wording from the Soccer Federation. Soccer Will campaign includes transforming health and wellness, expanding access to many pitches in high-stress, low-income communities, turning them into spaces where kids and families can stay active, connecting resources to strengthen well-being, strengthening connection through coach mentorship by growing the number of trained coach mentors. They're connecting kids with adults to help them build confidence, and that's why we like to have our friends from Beyond Goals mentoring on the Fridays that we can to discuss these kinds of things, to help sense of belonging on and off the pitch. Healthier home life, obviously. Digital tools have been added for parents, caregivers, and educators, supporting healthy habits. And so 3 decades of impact, and they're committing to this vision now over the next handful of years, marked by Kenneth Griffin and Boromir Yutinovich. And so Foundation's going to invest $30 million over the next 4 years, looking to improve the lives of that 10 million youth. And that's the number that they've got. Ed Foster-Simeon, president and CEO of the U.S. Soccer Foundation, says that they're expanding the impact. It's a bold goal, but it's achievable, urgently needed, together with our partners, ensuring every child has the opportunity to play, grow, and succeed through the sport. And we mentioned the keys. The goal is to train 100,000 coach mentors by 2030 and to make sure that you have 5 million families reached when it comes to the resources that we're talking about here. So they've already raised $13 million of this 30. You're talking Adidas, Britton Family, MetLife Foundation, Musco, Ted Meredith Siegel, Stand Together Foundation, Zaffarini Family Foundation. All of these folks are looking to get to that $30 million number, but they're almost halfway there as a part of this initiative, the Soccer Will initiative, with those pillars of health and wellness, connection through mentorship, and supporting healthier home life over the next 4 years. So I thought that was really cool, and that came across our bow yesterday.
I'll give my response while you look up breaking news that just happened regarding an MLS youngster on the U.S. men's national team.
Okay.
I think this is something that this is the purpose of U.S. Soccer Foundation, is to provide this auxiliary type programming that goes beyond just playing soccer. And I think this is a really good step in the right direction for helping coaches better coach and better mentor players, because I think too many times coaches think their job is to make an 8-year-old the best soccer player they ever could be, when the reality is their job is to make soccer the most fun it can be for 8-year-olds. And even beyond that, making soccer the most educational it can be for a 13-year-old, for a 15-year-old. Stuff that Greg and Parky talk about all the time when they come on here, about how it's not about just teaching them, okay, as a center back, you need to be in this position or this position. It's about, as a person, you're going to be taking these lessons from soccer. And so from that standpoint, I think being able to give money to help supplement those initiatives beyond just playing soccer is fantastic.
Okay. I haven't found the news. What are we talking about here? Actually, tell you
all
what.
right,
Let me hit
sorry.
let me hit the sounder first. And then that way you can deliver the breaking news this morning on a Friday. This is where the world is right now. You can deliver the breaking news since you saw it first and your fingers are faster than mine. Here's the sounder. All right, hit me. What happened?
All right. From the U.S. Soccer Twitter account,
Okay.
transfer news, Alex Freeman has officially completed a move from Orlando City SC to Villarreal CF in La Liga. So that is now official.
Officially official.
Going. So I guess officially official.
Mm-hmm. Do we have the photo of him with the pen lifted over the contract that he's not signing, that he's allegedly signing? And does he have
no, we don't have that picture. But you have, wait, do we have that picture? The only picture I've seen on Villarreal is him in a Villarreal jersey, and then leaning up against a sports car. I don't know why, but
I think Audi is one of their.
No, there's not a picture, John. There is a video, so you can't even claim that it's doctored.
Okay, so it is the four-ringed automobile, and they're discussing how the four-ringed automobile, the Quadis Marza, is amazingly similar to Alex Freeman. So
maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
so that's all I'll say. It's good for him. I like that he is getting his move. Good for Atlanta United, because now that's that's a right back leaving the league that we don't have to see anymore. But very, very good for Alex Freeman. This is the type of move that I think maybe a little early, but the type of move that I expected from him in his career.
Yep. So it's a good move financially for Alex Freeman, good move financially for the purple team, and we'll see how it happens. So yes, he steps out.
Who cares about that part? Good for Alex Freeman.
Good for Alex Freeman. So it's a 7-figure move for the purple team to gain those funds. I'm intrigued to see how their starting 11 looks like, and this means obviously we've got to catch up with our friend Mike Gramajo down in
hopefully they get paid.
Yeah, well, that's the part. Freeman's going to be wearing number 3, and he stepped out of an Audi and he said he's here. So it's officially official. Alex Freeman, Jais Groguet, and he signed it. So he's wearing number 3 for Villarreal, and that is officially official. So great to have you come in on Friday. What do you want to talk about on Monday?
I'm sure we'll have some cards and calls to talk about, John.
Yes, that is absolutely gracious. I know. Yeah, we're going to have that to talk about. So officially, Bart was opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting our day with the most important stories in the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, with notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. As always, my friend, great to see you. We'll see you on Monday.
It's a good day, John. Anina is back. I'll have a great Friday.
There you go. All right, be good. We will see Bart Keeler soon, and he's going to go have his coffee. All right, that was opening kickoff, top of the hour. It is going to be a conversation with our friend Steve Cooke. So let me do this. It is 9:30, and we have teams that are getting ready for the next steps. The next steps in their preseason, getting ready for the regular season, all the things. One of those clubs is in USL League One, and it is Greenville Triumph. Greenville's got a new head coach, and yesterday we were able to catch up with said new head coach, and as a part of our as a part of our programming, you're going to be catching up with more than one person this weekend involving Greenville Triumph. First stage of that is coming up here in a second, and that's going to be catching up with Dave Dixon, the new head coach for Greenville. But they got new folks in the front office, and so when you look at the front office, they have a new general manager and sporting director. Zach Prince is now in that position, and so Zach Prince, we caught up with him in addition to Coach Dixon. You'll hear the interview with Zach Prince on the network this weekend. So set your notifications and you get to hear our conversation with Zach Prince. So someone who grew up in Irmo gets to be a part of things now in Greenville. Integral to the Charleston Battery, all the things that Zach has seen in the sport in the state of South Carolina. We talked to him about that tomorrow and on this weekend. So about noon or so on Saturday. We don't have to worry about weather permitting. We've already done the interview, so that'll be out about noon on Saturday with Zach Prince, the new general manager, sporting director of Greenville Triumph. But new man on the touchline, and he is totally and completely stoked about what he's been seeing so far. New head coach in Greenville is Dave Dixon, and so we caught up with him and got to find out what it's like for the new coach and the new gig. Here's our conversation with Dave Dixon as he gets ready for USL League One in 2026. Okay, so Dave, my first question is, has it sunk in, all of the head coachness and everything that you're having to do? I know you're familiar, obviously, with USL League One, but in the Greenville sphere of things, and you're getting ready for a season, has it all sunk in that, I'm 5 weeks away from a season right now?
It's starting to, that's for sure. It's coming fast, but it's been exciting. It's been a ton of work from the day I got hired until to this point. We're a week and a couple days into preseason and just getting everything organized and get the roster built and all of those fun things. But man, it feels really good to be out on the field and finally get to see the guys together and start to form the group and who we can be. So starting to sink in, though, like every day that creeps by, you go, that's getting closer. So
when you looked at this opportunity, what was it about Greenville that you're like, yeah, I think I can do something here?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things, to be honest. It's a club that, one of the founders of the league. It's a club that had a great history. I mean, both John and Rick have did a great job of building a really good foundation of a team that could be really competitive and win championships in the past. And obviously coming online with the stadium and having our own stadium, I just felt like it was an opportunity to stay in the Southeast, to be in a club that could compete for championships and had a ton of excitement around it. So recruiting would be easier. All of those things have been real bonuses for it. So great leadership. I've really enjoyed working with Zach Prince. Zach has been great. It's the alignment has to be there, right, between sporting director and coach, and how you see, not only how the group's going to play, but how you form the roster, type of characters you want in here. And man, it's just been a real pleasure to work with him, to work with everyone around the office. There's just a really good buzz around the Greenville Triumph and in the office. Every day I go in from our training facility to the office, it's just asking about the next new player and who's coming in next, who's going to be the next announcement. And that's really fun to be around because it just gives you energy. And that's the one kind of thing I would describe it right now is just such great positive energy around the club.
So do you have the index card that has the Greenville Triumph logo on the one side and the answers on the other side with the questions that everybody keeps asking? Yes, we are still recruiting players. Yes, we are looking for this kind of individual. Are you handing those out at the BILO these days?
Yeah, we need to. We need to because everyone's excited. I mean, their first question in the public, I've been stopped by a couple of people that with my the sweatshirt on, and they ask about the stadium. When's the stadium going to be done? When's this going to be done with this? And so they're really excited about that, having a permanent home. But everyone is very excited about the group that we brought back, and as we kind of layer out these new signings, it's just continued energy. So yeah, I mean, it's a fun place to be, and the guys that we're bringing in, it's been a really, really good mix with the veteran presence that we kept from the previous season.
You have been in the Southeast. You've seen it grow a bunch of different places, whether we're talking Charlotte, they're now in Greenville, the time that you had in Mississippi with Berea. When you look at how the Southeast, everybody's been sitting there saying, oh, I don't know about the Southeast and soccer over like the last decade or so. It's like, oh, I don't know. Can the Southeast handle soccer? And you've been in places where with Berea, it literally was lightning in a bottle. You get a good team out there, and you know what's going to happen in League Two, and they're going to be right there with it the entire time. You see how it grows in big cities like Charlotte and Greenville. What's it been like for you to see this upward progression of the sport in a place where everybody in the Southeast knew, no one else did, but what's it been like for you to sit there and go, see?
Yeah, no, it's extremely exciting. I've had the privilege of working in the youth game in the Southeast. I've worked at the amateur level, now the professional level as well. And all of those levels, you just see tremendous growth and talent, right? There's a ton of talent. And I mean, hopefully that's one of the things that Zach and I are excited about is how do we dig into the talented young players in the Southeast region? There's lots of great options, but can we be another quick option for players as well? So it's exciting to see not only the growth in the professional game, because that's just crazy. This growth, the USL's growth the last year and a half, 2 years, it's just been crazy. But then to just see the amount of fans at games, to see the excitement. I mean, in Charlotte, in Atlanta, in Greenville, you're just driving around, you see crests, you see jerseys, you see all of those different things that, I mean, when I first got to Berea in Mississippi, so that was Ole Miss and Mississippi State jerseys and those types of things. But you start to see, you just see the transformation of fandom, right? Of just people that are just excited about the game. And you start to see people chatting about the game, but not just the global game, like the local game as well. And for me, that's exciting. And it just trickles down, right? And then you're hoping that the youth game keeps growing. There's so many great clubs in the state of South Carolina. Right here, we train at the same place at CISA. I mean, there are so many great clubs in the Southeast that are producing players that can play at this level and beyond. And so we have to figure out our way. What's Greenville's way of tapping into that potential and into that pool, and how do we add to it as well? I think that we have a responsibility as a professional club to how do we add to the landscape of the game. And I just have been really impressed by our front office and our willingness to get into the community and to try to connect the community to our club, to the game in general. So lots of exciting things, obviously, with the World Cup coming up too. Like it's just going to explode again.
So when you go into this situation with the Triumph and you head into this season in USL League One, what are you the most confident about going in? And what do you think are those things that are those, I'm not going to say most concerned about, because, there's always a level of confidence there, but those things that you still think you have to tackle. So those things that are concerns can turn into those things that you are confident about. It's a reinforcing of behavior. Where do you think you are when it comes to the good and the bad right now?
Yeah, great question. For me, I feel like confidence in the group that we've assembled, the character, the energy, the work rate. We've been on the field. We got a little bit of a ice out the other day, but we've been on the field basically 7 days. And the energy level, it just feels like it just keeps rising. And I love that. I love groups that play with energy, that play with passion, that just compete every day and every moment. So I'm extremely confident in our level to maintain that, to compete, to be a team that's really difficult to beat. Obviously the things that you're trying to figure out is we have 50% of a new roster, 50-60% new roster. How are we meshing that influx of new players with a very seasoned and also Greenville seasoned experienced team, right? So that's been really fun to watch, kind of that dynamic grow together, where we're seeing some of the born leaders from the past in here, Brandon Fricky and Evan Lee and Tyler Polak and Chapa and those guys that have been here a while, like see them lead, also leading the new guys, but then seeing some of the new guys kind of rise to the occasion and be a leader as well. So just you want to continue to blend that together, continue to make that the best version of itself as a whole we can be. And, cliche wise, we talk about we is greater than me here a lot when we're in our meetings. And that I wholeheartedly believe in that. And the culture that we create, it's going to be hard to outperform it. So we want to create a culture where we value the work, we value competing, we value each other. And that's been really good. And then it's just like, look, everyone's in the same point right now. They're trying to figure out how we're going to score goals. Right? We have this player that can do it and this player, but collectively, how do we score goals? So that's the last thing that normally comes in the process. That cohesion in the final third. But like today, we just got off the field, and today's session was just a massive step forward in just the cohesion of watching the interaction of the connection point between two players that are playing in similar sectors of the field. So, today was exciting. I walked off the field today and I was like, man, we took a huge step forward today in who we can be ultimately. We're not there yet, but who we can be ultimately when we kick off there in March.
Do you have the T-shirt that has the 98 font we and like the 12 font me working around?
Yeah, that's what we need one of those. We got some stuff that we're putting up on the walls here. We're transforming the workspace here to kind of help build the culture that we want. And Zach's doing a great job of doing that inside our front office and into our sporting side, and bringing the cohesion together. And that's something that's really exciting as well, like where everyone feels ownership of this thing. Like every time we step on the field, whether you sell tickets, whether you're doing marketing, whether you're the best player on the field that day, like everyone wants to win for the team and the club and community.
How would you describe yourself stylistically? And if you want to use the word holistically, you can. But I mean, when it comes to you and your coaching DNA, what kind of a product are you looking for, and what kind of output are you looking for from the players to get what you're looking for out there on the field?
Yeah. I think that for me, from a stylistic perspective and what my expectations are of the group, like we want to be really aggressive. I love attacking. Like I was a goalkeeper, which is crazy, but I love attacking football. And I want to make sure that we can try to control the game. We want to control the game with the ball. We want to control the game with the tempo. We want to control space. I'm a little bit greedy that way. I want to try to figure out in each phase of the game, how can we do that? So we want to be very front-footed and aggressive. So we've been this week has been a lot about how do we get that mindset to where when we have the ball, we're aggressive to go forward. When we don't have the ball, we're aggressive because we want to attack again. We're very selfish. We want the ball again. So just trying to get the mindset shift there a little bit, like increasing the pace of play, those types of things. And the way I describe it to the guys is I want us to invite other teams into our chaos. We control it, but we invite them into our chaos and make them play at an uncomfortable pace, rhythm, speed. But we're used to it because it is our DNA, like you described. It's what we do every day and work on ourselves every day.
How do you, when it comes to this chaos that you want to have, How do you have the players themselves understand that I want you to go right up to the edge when it comes to the chaos itself, so it's still a positive but doesn't turn into a negative in a transition opportunity or a turnover? How do you balance that ledge when it comes to chaos?
Yeah, that's a great question as well, and I think that's the fine line, right? That's where you're always flirting with that line too. So to me, it's you start it's every day in training. You start with it. So today in an exercise that we did, it was all about trying to control the space and trying to get guys to be really aggressive, but also over their back shoulder, they understand that, like, if we lose the ball here, I have to be ready to run. I have to be ready to recover into those areas so that we can eliminate issues and problems. What we try to talk about is we want to control where we lose the ball, right? Not the other team. We don't want them to defend us and they control where we lose it. So we're willing to take risk in smaller areas and tighter areas so that we can be more compact and we can then impact the game really quickly from those standpoints. But you have to get your players into a mindset where the fear of failure is gone, right? So we're going to fail. We're going to make mistakes with the ball. We're going to do things that we get broken, and there's broken moments of the game. But if we're always training on the edge and training in those moments, then when those moments pop up in the game, we should have solutions. We should have ideas. We should have a calmness to us in those moments, because that's how we train every day. And I think you have to make sure that you're always working on yourself in those moments.
So then how do you get them to get past that fear of either failure or not wanting to make a mistake? How hard of a challenge is that?
For me, it's a hard challenge, but it's also like you just have to talk about it every day. You can't let the fear of failure be this thing that's in the back of your mind, or it's in the corner of the room. You talk about it like you're going to make mistakes. We have no perfect players, right? None of our guys are perfect players or to the edge of where they can be. They can all get better. But I think you just have to make sure that you're always on the forefront of talking about it. It's okay. Like, look, we made a mistake. We reacted. That's the biggest thing is don't make one mistake, two mistakes, right? So you got to figure out like your reaction to things, the click of moving into one phase to another, and then just keeping it at the front of their minds. You're going to make mistakes in possession. We're going to give the ball away. We're going to lose it. In defending shape, they're going to break our pressure at some point, right? It's how we react to that next thing. And if you can get them continually stacking those moments, and again, keeping it in the forefront, like every day in our team meeting before we go out to the session, we talk about those things. Here's where in the session today it's going to be hard, right? And where can you survive in these hard moments? And what are the solutions that we're going to come up with? We're going to give you ideas, but they also have to come up with solutions on the field as well. And so I think you can't hide from it. You have to continually talk about it and continually figure out solutions. I showed him a clip today of an old clip of Kobe Bryant that talked about failure, and he was on a BET interview. And it was like, he was like, failure doesn't exist. And he started talking through this whole thing. And it's like, his mindset is he thought of things from a tactical rather than an emotional standpoint. Like, and if you can start getting guys into that mindset, because if it's emotional, I make a mistake and it's emotional and it rises up in me, I'm going to be now scared to get to the next action. But if it's a tactical way of thinking or a clinical tactical way of thinking, then I think you can go from one action to the next with a little bit more confidence.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen in 2026. Welcome to Greenville and the Greenville. Let's see, Greenville, Spartanburg, Anderson. That's the TV market. So it's great to see what's going on there with you and Triumph. As always, we're going to be knocking on your door. Thanks for doing this little preview with us. Get ready for 2026. Thanks for dropping by.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Dave Dixon, the new head coach for Greenville Triumph. And we are going to be keeping an eye on Triumph. Once again, reminder, Zach Prince, the new GM and technical director, caught up with him as well. That's going to be on weekend. So you'll be able to listen to that interview, set your notifications, and you'll be able to catch up with Zach, who is both titles for both teams. It's not just Triumph, it's Triumph and Liberty. So we kind of get into those discussions as well. So two-sided approach for Zach Prince. And we got the early thoughts on the new head coach, Dave Dixon, as they're getting ready for USL League One in Greenville. So thanks to obviously Doug Irwin and everybody up there in Greenville for giving us those interviews and being able to share what's going on up there in USL League One. Speaking of USL, once again, 10 minutes away from friend of the network, Steve Cooke. We're going to find out what Steve found out in the meetings. No pressure on Steve at all. We're going to see if he eavesdropped on the meetings for Lexington SC as they were getting ready, and I think they are in the players' meeting starting, if not 10 minutes from now. They're already in it. So Steve is going to be representing Lex SC as we kind of break things down with Lex coming down here to the SDH footprint, taking on Atlanta United. Broadcast plans. So the broadcast plans for the matchup, 12:40, it is going to be Brad Gazan and the Hoff, atlutd.com/live. The Hoff and Brad Gazan, they're going to start your pregame at atlutd.com/live about 12:40. Then it's going to be Mike and Jason taking you through the match in and of itself. A little after 1 o'clock is going to be kick, and it's going to be up there at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. Atlanta United starts their 2026 season in all of its forms for preseason activity with Lexington SC. And we're going to catch up once again with Steve Cooke, find out what is going on in that morning meeting. I mean, he's the technical director for Youth and Academy. So, I mean, he ought to have some glass up to the door. So we'll see if Steve has any state secrets that he can divulge coming up in about 10 minutes. Because I wanted to, and obviously, I'm needling him about that, and I'm needling everybody about that kind of a thing. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to pick Steve's brain about what it's like to be a coach in these moments. You're getting everything ready for that first matchup. That it's going to be this sprint in the preseason to get you ready for the regular season. And that's in like 3 weeks, like 3.5 weeks from now, it is for real. Or 2 weeks from now, actually, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks from now. So it is all of these things put together, and you're trying to get everything squared away for your new schedule. And you're going, okay, where are we doing? What's going on? What does it look like? And you're getting ready for life on the 21st when you're on the road at TQL taking on Cincinnati. So I wanted to kind of pick Steve's brain a little bit, how he got into the idea of getting into that rhythm of getting everything squared away, what preseason means, what you're looking for, that kind of approach. I want to kind of pick his brain, what it means to be a coach in a preseason getting ready for a regular season. So that and any state secrets he wants to give when it comes to Lexington for the matchup coming up a little after 1 o'clock, atlutd.com/live. Mike and Jason on the call, the Hoff and the Goose. Goose and the Hoff. Goose and the Hoff, I think. Goose and the Hoff at 12:40 with the pregame, and then it's going to be Mike and Jason a little after 1 o'clock on the network. So it's going to be really cool to see all of that stuff come down the pike, and starting at 12:40 this afternoon. Okay, really quickly, I wanted to get into Champions League, and I'll probably get into Champions League again with folks after Steve. So the road to Budapest is now officially official. In one of the silliest ideas for figuring out, here's how we're going to do our elimination brackets. You have the 8-seeded teams who get to kind of keep an eye on everything in this go-around. The 2 matches that are going to be played, the 2 legs with teams 9 through 24, they got to get that done. Everything is leaning toward Budapest on May the 30th. And so the 1 through 8, they're watching what's going on with all these teams. And instead of it being just the simple idea of 9 playing 24, 10 playing 23, et cetera, no. We're going to pair up the teams. We're going to pair up 9 and 10. We're going to pair up 23 and 24. And then we're going to put it in the blender and then come out with a frozen envelope and figure out what our matchup wants to be. Instead of just doing 9 and 24, no, we're going to pair up 9 and 10. We're going to pair up 23 and 24. We're going to draw them out of a hat. And whatever the Lion says as Bullwinkle's pulling his head out of the top hat, that's what we're going to do. Anyway, we got past it. We do have some intriguing matchups. The matchups themselves, you end up with PSG and Monaco, Juve and Galatasaray, Benfica, Real Madrid. As Excalibur says, give the people what they want and pull out to the wide shot. You did the frozen envelopes. You did us good. Benfica, Real Madrid, the 924. Dortmund and Atalanta. That's the left-hand side of the bracket. Right-hand side of the bracket, Karabag and Newcastle. How about that one? Newcastle gets to travel halfway around the world for one of those legs, for the first leg in that one. Bruges and Atleti. Bodo Glimt and Inter. How about Inter traveling north of the Arctic Circle? And then Olympiacos taking on Leverkusen. And so you have Monaco and PSG. Winner of that one gets either Barcelona or Chelsea. Upper left, once again, Liverpool or Spurs gets Galatasaray, and the winner of Galatasaray and Juve. Benfica, Real Madrid could get Sporting or Manchester City. How about that one? Dortmund and Atalanta could get Arsenal or Bayern. That's the left-hand side. Right-hand side of the bracket, Karabag and Newcastle gets either Barca or Chelsea. Club Brugge and Atleti get either Liverpool or Spurs. Bodo Glimt and Inter winner gets either Manchester City or Sporting. Olympiacos and Leverkusen winner gets either Bayern or Arsenal. It's the right-hand side of the bracket. So you end up, Newcastle gets to go 3,000 miles to Azerbaijan for the first leg against Karabag, the 22. And obviously you look at what they did against PSG, and they're like, okay, great, fine. But here's your plane ticket. 3,000-mile flight. It's like going from, what, Atlanta to L.A.? So 5 hours on a plane. You get to go to Karabag for your first leg. And you had, remember, the idea that Karabag held Chelsea to 2-2 back on that turf in Azerbaijan. So you got to keep your head on a swivel for that one. Monaco's going to play at home first. The lower-seeded team gets the home match first. So Monaco gets the first leg against PSG. Galatasaray. Juve gets to go to Istanbul to take on Galatasaray. Real Madrid has to survive Benfica at home. Atalanta and Dortmund. Yeah, the first leg, Newcastle, 3,000 miles to Azerbaijan to take on Karabag. Atleti has to go to Bruges. Inter, their first leg with Inter, they have to go north of the Arctic Circle to take on Bodo Glimt. Olympiacos and Leverkusen, once again, first leg is at Olympiacos. I mean, you know, if you're a Leverkusen player, you just don't get caught staring at all of the great ruins and everything. Focus on the task at hand. But, yeah, the idea that Real Madrid has to go first leg to Benfica, Newcastle has to travel 3,000 miles to Azerbaijan, and then Inter has to go to the Arctic Circle. So those are your first legs that you're staring at in all of those. And so we'll obviously keep an eye on all of that. Europa League playoffs, Nottingham Forest and Celtic. Once again, they get their test. Forest has to go to Fenerbahce, who are second in the Superliga, and you have to travel to Istanbul. Celtic gets Stuttgart, fifth in the Bundesliga. They get to play at home first. Ties played on the 13th and the 20th of February. If Forest win, they'll get Real Betis or Midtjylland. Celtic get Braga or Porto. And you go with that run. So there's some fun ones out there. Forest win, they get Real Betis or Midtjylland. Celtic gets Braga or Porto. Villa gets the winner of PAOK and Celta de Vigo, or that between Leeds and Red Star Belgrade. Crvena Zvezda. So that's your Europa League matchups and your Champions League. But the idea of having to go 3,000 frickin' miles for your first leg, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Now, speaking of homecoming, how's that for a transition? That was a train wreck. Anyway, hour number 2 kicks in. And for this, we go to our oracle of everything Lexington, and it's our buddy Steve Cooke. And Cookie, hello.
How are you doing?
Well, better now that all of the connections have worked, and I actually figured out how to program everything.
Yeah, no, this is great.
When you get to come and visit, it's always great. Right now on the business card, Lexington Sporting Club, Technical Director, Youth and Academy, and it was really cool last time when we got the lay of the land when it comes to what you're doing up there. Are you sequestered in a hotel at the moment?
Would you believe I'm actually, my view is of Truist Park, so I feel really happy. The sun is shining, the birds are singing. It's beautiful here.
So When did the players meeting? When did the players meeting start? By the way, any idea?
When the players meeting?
Yeah, when did that start already? This morning?
Well, our players, would you believe, have been on the road now for quite some time. So I got in yesterday, and I was with them yesterday, and we went training yesterday up at the place and at the facility, and it was just literally amazing, John, to see everybody and see the new building, which was mostly under construction when I was there. And yeah, and today we did a bit of training. Today we're getting ready, and we're off to the game in a little while, so we're excited.
Okay, yeah. The reason I asked was because if the players were having their players only meeting now while you and I are talking, if you could put if you had a glass in the hotel room and you just put it up against the wall and let us know what's going on in that players meeting so everybody can be prepared for 1 o'clock.
Is this union related?
No. I'm just trying to get state secrets, man. That's what I'm trying to do.
Believe me, John, there are no state secrets. We're gonna put a team out there against Atlanta United today that hopefully will perform and enjoy. And I'm sure Atlanta and Tata and his staff are going to think the same thing. Believe me, I've long learned there are not many secrets in football anymore. So we seem to know everything that's going on these days. But it's it's beautiful to be back here, man. And, in such a big, vibrant city. And yesterday bumping into some old friends. And, I just said to the boys upstairs, actually, these are the things that you miss the most in life. It's forget the whether we're playing 3 at the back or 4 at the back, but meeting people again and saying hello and giving people a big hug is really what we're gonna miss the most, I suppose, when it's all done.
What did you take from your time in Atlanta that is helping you out with the new gig up there in Lexington?
I would say not just in Atlanta, but everywhere. That every club is different. Every culture is different. I think, I came from Seattle Sounders to Atlanta United, and the two places couldn't have really been too much more different, in terms of how they operate on a daily basis, the kinds of people that are around. And then, oftentimes you take it for granted that what you did in a certain place is going to work somewhere else. And to Lexington to be really, okay, observe, see what's happening, feel the unique culture of the people and the city and the community. And then slow just to that, rather than me go in and say, oh, by the way, I've got all these great ideas that have worked all over the place. And so I took to that really to heart there. And probably some things need time and patience, and some things need a little bit more revolution, and I think we've done a balancing that in Lexington, where there is that long-term view, there is that patience to get the job done right. But then again, there are certain things that doing literally within minutes. And so you have to really tend to those things. Otherwise, the fires start burning a little bit bigger.
When it comes to going into new environments, do you see coaches these days have their mindset, walk into their new gig and sit there and say, you're going to adjust to me, more than the other way around, like you're saying? Because I would imagine that those coaches who are comfortable in their own skin understand, okay, I can let my personality breathe and have it fit what's going on. Like you were saying about what you see at Lexington, I'm taking my database, applying it to what I see, and adjusting my thought pattern to where I am. Do coaches sometimes still look at it reversed? It's like you're gonna have my thing and we're gonna do things my way, and it doesn't work the way that it should. Do you still see that happening?
I certainly see what you're saying, and it's actually really interesting. I had a long chat yesterday with somebody about this, where I think you get a little bit older and you realize that you're not always the most important person in any room, and far from it, in fact. And I think there is a young crop of coaches all over the world right now, some who've recently been fired from their high profile positions in the Premier League, that said it's going to be my way or the highway. This is how I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it in right away. And of some really high profile clubs in Europe that went in and said it's going to be my way or the highway. And a month or 2 or 3 into it, they realize the player store won't adjust, and a little bit of a problem begins. And I think that comes from that world where we've got my methodology, my way of working, my game model that necessarily adapt to the players. And in any football club, the players are the most important piece of it. They're the ones that drive the whole thing from a results perspective, from a fan perspective as well. And so if they're happy and they're enjoying their time and they're working really well together, then I think that's the most important thing. So as especially as I've gotten a little bit more experienced in these roles, that, you know, a lot of coaches think that players' future is in their hands, and I believe it's the opposite, where the coach's future is in the players' hands. So do everything you possibly can to keep the players happy, in good spirits, well organized, enjoying their time, and the players will then take care of your career for you, because ultimately they're the only ones who go into war on the, you know, crossing the line and all that stuff. And we're just, in the end, we're going to help them, we're going to guide them, and the staff are going to help and guide them. But ultimately, the players are the most important.
So when you're getting ready for preseason match one, and this is, I'm going to put you back on the touchline for a second. When you're a head coach, you're getting ready for preseason match number one. Do you, or have you in the past, had a set expectation of what you're looking to find in that first match? Result be damned. I don't care what the final score is, or I might care what the final score is. You know, I want to see player development from my younger guys. I want to see if they're understanding what I'm trying to tell them. I want to see if the veterans are understanding what I'm trying to tell them. What are you looking for from your perspective in preseason match day one?
Yeah, look, preseason match day one and most of preseason, the results are secondary to performance levels and the attitude and spirit of the players. I think on preseason match day one, as you rightly say, is really, are the players, you want no injuries, number one. Want everybody to work in a cohesive way, get a little bit fitter, get a little bit better. But really, you're looking to see some of the key ideas, the principles of the game that you want to emphasize. Are they showing? Is the first week or two of training going to be shown in the kind of work that the players do? Are you on the right? Really, I think a lot of it is work rate related. It is attitude related. It is competitive spirit related. And then you say, well, we've got this game model. We've got an idea how we want to play. Are the players fitting into it? And then really that observation comes after the game and say, okay, what did we learn? How can we adjust training next week? What do we think about this player? Some players will naturally do exceptionally well, and they'll go up in your estimation. Some players who you had higher expectations for might drop a little bit. What I've learned over the years is giving those young kids this experience in preseason is really, really critical. Giving them those minutes, because they're not going to get them any other places, especially early in preseason. But then some of the more mature, more experienced, more seasoned professionals then begin to come through as the preseason start. And I would expect, for example, from an Atlanta United perspective today, a very mixed group, a very cohesive group, a group that are desperate to show that they're better than their form was last season, and a group that want to show Tata Martino and his staff that they are worthy of a place in a few weeks' time, you know, and I think that's really the key today. So I expect a really competitive exercise, especially from an Atlanta United team that probably this year look like they are desperate to do well.
Yeah, and in these situations where you have the veterans that are playing for their contract, they are being pursued, if you want to call it, if you want to use that word pursuit, fine. If you want to use the idea, yes, proper hydration, Steve. Yes, we believe in proper hydration.
I've got my coffee from the hotel lobby, and believe me, it's the caffeine is what I'm after, not the hydration.
Attaboy. When it comes to the, I guess, the shared messaging, because you have the veterans with a new coach, and they're like, yeah, I've got to prove myself all over again. Then you have the younger guys who have been a part of the system and they've grown up in it, and they wear that crest. They wear that crest every single day, and they know what it means. And so you have them coming into a situation where they're chasing after just as much as the veterans are with a new head coach. I mean, you have interesting dynamics here in play with the younger guys and the veterans who are chasing after the same thing. They all want success at the end of the day, but they're coming at it from different locations, and it creates that competition that you're looking for too.
Yeah, would you believe, John, we have exactly the same going on with Lexington right now that you do in Atlanta United. You know, we've got the difference being that the coach in Atlanta United is very, very, very experienced and very proven and has won big things in the past. We too have 5 academy players that are going to be as today. We believe in that as well. We've got a young coach in Mac Hemi who's desperate to do well. The boys started well last week against Orlando City. I think what you're saying is really important because you've got veterans who are going to be, you know, they understand a bit more like what Tata wants. 1 or 2 were even was there, so they'll know a little bit more. I'm sure they're all excited to show what they can do. But then you've probably got a bit of nervousness from some of the young kids with of wanting to show well, but also, you know, in the space of just a couple of weeks, it's changed their experience of Atlanta United, not Tata Martino's Atlanta United. That was a different one that they grew up in, a different emphasis that they grew up in. And so now it's interesting. I spoke to a couple of the guys yesterday. They're enjoying it. They feel like they're really fit. Cooper Sanchez looks really skinny and healthy and fit and like he's ready to go for it. So I'm looking forward to seeing little Cooper. And I think those young players are now going to have to, I think it's really good for their education, John, where they now have to adjust to a different coach, because in the long term, if they want to have good careers for another 20, 30 years, then they're going to need to adapt and adjust to whoever is at the helm. And right now, and in a few years, it could be somebody else or a different club or a different environment. So I think for the young players, you know, assimilation into professional soccer, I think wonderful experience.
Do you have conversations with the younger players up there at Lexington about, you know, right now in preseason, you're integrating with the pros that are probably going to be a part of the roster in USL Championship? Don't press, don't overdo, just stay within yourself. Or do you have to dial them back because they may be trying to jump the queue and sit there and it's like, yeah, I've got to show them, and that urgency is there, and they end up doing too much. Do you get to have those conversations about the gas and the brake and the clutch?
I have them all the time. That one, I spoke to all of them yesterday, and all of them are really enjoying the experience. They're all really desperate to show well. A little bit of nervousness as well, and rightly so. They should be. You know, they're in a man's world now, and it's not safe academy, sanitized world that they're probably a bit more used to. But again, it's an interesting question, John, because I don't believe in either of those 2 things. I believe in the players go in and be themselves, and if that means they're smashing into tackles with somebody in the middle of midfield, then great. And if that means more technical, that's well. But be yourself, work on your strengths, and show people who you are. Not you know, dial anything because Steve Cooke thinks it's something. You know, I believe in them really going for it, and the positive feedback I've had is really good. But again, it's a couple of weeks is not a couple of years, is so. We'll hopefully keep tabs on these young players, and hopefully 1 or 2 will come through.
And obviously, you know, we're going to be continuing to ask you about these younger players and who we need to keep an eye on. For those who have not seen the kind of coach that Mac is, how would you describe what they're going to be seeing on the touchline today from the coach there at Lex SC?
Yeah, Mac is a really, really thoughtful guy. You know, he's a young coach. He's worked obviously as an assistant coach in USL. He's been a college coach. He's been a women's coach as well. So he's got a really broad sense of what the game brings. I think the best way to describe Mac is an incredible human being. He really believes in giving the staff the autonomy to do their jobs really well. He also believes in creating a fun excitement for the players, and not over stimulating them with hour-long videos and meetings and things like that. He really does look like it's a player's game. And then he has some firm principles that he wants to embed. And look, if the guys, they're doing really well right now, they're adjusting particularly well. The staff are so happy and enjoying themselves. I went for a beer with them last night, and they were all so full of energy and happy to just be around the group, and Max is the leader of that. And I think he really gives people that sense of go and be yourself, but more importantly, enjoy this life together, you know, because you're away home a lot, as these guys have been on the road now for 2-3 weeks. So they're going to really come together. And I think the one thing about Mac is that he leads with love, and he leads with compassion for people, and he gives an energy and he gives an autonomy to everybody to go and be their very best. It's not about him. It's about the players and the staff becoming their best, not whether or not it's like this crazy guy on the sideline.
Are there not enough coaches these days that lead with love and compassion? I didn't mean necessarily to get philosophical here, but you open a door and I'm like, are there enough coaches that lead with love and compassion? Do more need to be heading in that direction, or do you still see the rigid approach to things? Where is the state of coaching these days?
You know, I can't speak to everybody because I don't know everyone. I would argue this, that none of it makes any sense at all, no matter what your ideas, no matter how talented you are as a you know, a tactician or anything like that, no matter how much you know about the game. If the players don't feel and staff members don't feel like you've got their best interests at heart, if they don't think they're cared and loved and valued, then you're not getting the best out of people in any walk of life, John, you know, whatever walk of life that is. So I believe that comes first. The human side, the character side comes way first. And then after that, you can begin to layer in your other things. And like I said, there's been some pretty high profile people lose their roles because I think probably, you know, results haven't been there. But a lot of times I think that empathetic leadership, that servant leadership type of person is going to slowly, quickly be reinvigorated, for the simple reason that the other way is a little bit too mechanical. It's a bit too AI than the human piece. And I think sometimes we forget these are young people with feelings, problems and issues in their lives. And once I think that connection is made, once those relationships are made, then I think players will go, you know, run through walls for you. And I think that is the key now for for all young coaches. I think all of us, when we were younger coaches, we felt everybody listened to me and the ideas I've got, they'd all be better off. And then later on, you realize that actually it's a lot of the human side than it is the technical side. And I hope that begins to become much more emphasis, not only in our daily work, but in licensing, continued education, in learning and leadership that these people coming into the game want to, if they really want to excel in a high level in soccer, I would lead into leadership and the human connection far more than I would whether or not you're playing 3 at the back or 4 at the back or whatever you're doing with your wings, you know.
Mac has coached college level. I want to say it's D3. He's done the women, right, and so he's done D3, D1. It was wherever the ore diggers of the Colorado School of Mines are. I think they're D2. But you know, he's been at CSM. He's done UD. He's done the college game. He was at Chicago Stars in the NWSL. Now he's there at Lex. You've done different age groups. You've done different things. You've been all over the planet. For someone that wants to follow in that coaching path, I think we're seeing it. It doesn't really matter what your direction is. You know, you could go women, youth, college, small college, you know, Division I and pro. The pathways are different these days. So what advice would you give to someone who might want to do that as a career about how to pursue it? Because I don't think there really is that number one path anymore of success here, success here, success here. What advice would you give?
I couldn't agree more. And I think having that general background is really, really critical to anybody's future these days, especially the way the world is moving. I would say don't pick yourself into any particular role. Try video analyst, try performance, try the soccer coaching side, try it all. Work at different levels. Go on the field and work. Don't sit back and go, well, I'm waiting for my ideal opportunity, because that may never come. I would say the best thing to do is start somewhere, go somewhere, put in more work than paid for. Stop thinking about salaries and how much you're going to get paid and start working. And when you're young, especially when you don't have a family and all the rest of it, can do 18 hours a day and go to bed for 6 hours and literally come off the field at 10 p.m. and get back on it at 7 a.m. because that's the way to learn. You know, people talk about 10,000 hours, which I know is a little bit of a myth, but try and get your 10,000 hours in pretty quickly. And I think when you're working and you're a person of character and people enjoy being around you and you're honing your craft in different ways, learning about these different aspects of the game and about how soccer clubs work, then eventually you will be a commodity, you will be an asset to people, and you will give more value than you're paid for at that moment in time. But I think if you're looking for a job title with a job description and then, you know, the stay in your lane mentality, I think would be a quick way to slow your career down. I would urge anybody out there who's looking to get into football, start somewhere, take whatever job it is that you can take, and really go after it. Every passion with purpose and a lot of joy in your heart. That's the advice I would give to anybody out there, regardless of the age, whether you're starting or later. John, go for it.
Technical Director, Youth and Academy, Lexington Sporting Club, our buddy Steve Cooke. And I'm going to let you continue consuming coffee. I cannot thank you enough for these visits because, yeah, we get to talk game a little bit, and that's fine. And that's coming up at 1 o'clock this afternoon with Mike and Jason. But doing the philosophical stuff with you, it's something that I've always enjoyed in our conversations, and to be able to share that with everybody else so we all can learn together. It's always cool when we can have these moments, Cookie. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and have a great time.
Yeah, we'll see you up there in a bit. You're coming, right?
I'm going to give you a big hug, John, when I see you, so be ready.
Fantastic. I will see you in a couple hours, my friend. Be good.
Take care.
All right, that's Steve Cooke, everybody, at Lex SC. We can't thank Cookie and Nolan Galbraith and everybody up there for letting us kind of steal Steve for a little bit. So that's always cool when we can catch up with him. Okay, last 45 minutes of the week. Do not be surprised if we get a crash visit from someone to discuss Atlanta United and Lex SC coming up here in the final 45 minutes. And we'll probably discuss a lot of the other things that have happened this week to kind of put a bow on everything. So don't be surprised if that happens. So in the interim, we've got to find out what else is going on, what other transfers we have to keep an eye on, all of the stuff. So first and foremost, what to watch, where to watch, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Underline, exclamate, italicize. Helps them, helps us, helps you by adding more matches to everything you're already watching. With Fanatis, you get all the be-ins, not just be-in, but all the be-ins. You get them along with Teisei, matches from Argentina, more leagues across South America, all in one place, one subscription, one home. fntz.co/soccer down here. And you get CATV. We've seen Tigo Sports. It is TV, it is CDO, CDO2, Liga 1, Liga 1 Max Pro, all the things, all in one place with our friends at Fanatis. Okay, so today, now that the league phase is over in Europa League, we got to get ready for the weekend. So here's what you got. Being in Espanol, simulcasting Lens and Le Havre at 2:45, and then Zaglebi, Lubin, and Katowice, that's at noon. So Polish League, which is nuts, by the way. If you haven't seen it, the Polish League is insane because of just the grouping right now with everybody in the Ekstraklasa. Right now, and for the record, Zaglebi's a favorite at home at a +138, and Radomiak Radom at 230 is a -114 favorite at home against Arka Gdynia. Now, right now in the Ekstraklasa, you have top to bottom separated, 18 teams separated by 11 points. Wisła Plock right now is on top. They have drawn their last 5. I'm not kidding. 30 points. The team who is last, Termalichka, is at 19 points. Legia Warsaw, who has lost 2 in a row and have 2 points in their last 5 matches, they are next to last and in the relegation zone. Legia Warsaw is in the relegation zone. Of course, they're a point away from being out of it because everybody's separated by 11 points. But 1 to 18 separated by 11 points. You can watch that on BN. And Vidjev Luj, who Osman Bukhari was transferred to from Austin, they are the team just out of the relegation zone, and they've lost 3 of 4. So Legia Warsaw, one of the heavyweights in Europe right now in the relegation zone in the Polish League. And you can watch the Polish League on Fanatis, and it is on at noon today, BN in Espanol. La Liga at 3 o'clock, Espanyol and Alaves. Fox Deportes has Lazio and Genoa at 2:45. Juarez Cruz Azul out of Liga MX at 10. The league we don't talk about at 12:30. ESPN Plus has the A-League. That happened very early this morning. Bundesliga at 2:20, Bundesliga B at 12:30, La Liga at 3 o'clock. Fox O&E, foxsports.com, same thing happening at 12:30 that we talked about before. Paramount Plus, Lazio Genoa 2:45, Bristol City Derby County at 3, St. Johnston Partick Thistle at 2:45. Women, Frauen Bundesliga on DAZN at 12:30, Carl Zeiss Jena and Bayern, and then Marseille and Paris FC at 3 o'clock in the Premier League. That is women on DAZN USA. So that's their doubleheader. So Saturday, we'll get into Premier League juice boxes in a second. Triple header and BN on the in Liga. Before that, the Ekstraklasse with Gornik Zabrze and Piast Gliwice. God bless you. 8:45. FS2 has the U17 activity. St. Vincent and the Grenadines at Aruba at 7. Liverpool and Newcastle, NBC at 3. NBC-SN, Brighton and Hove, Albion, Brighton and Everton at 10 a.m. USA has Leeds United Arsenal at 10. Chelsea West Ham at 12:30. Mentioned being in Espanol, simulcasting the Polish League and Ligue 1. ESPN Deportes, your quadruple header, Saturday with La Liga, 8, 10, 15, 12:30, and 3. Fox Deportes, Serie A doubleheader, Honduran League at 8:30 Saturday night. Telemundo simulcasting Liverpool and Newcastle. 2 to NA on Sábado Futbolero, it is Monterrey and Tijuana at 8. Universo doubleheader, 10 and 12:30. Univision, 5 and 8. ESPN Plus. A-League, Eredivisie, Bundesliga, 6 matches available. Bundesliga B, Bundesliga 3, 8 and 10:30. La Liga and La Liga 2. Fox O&E, Serie A, Honduran League simulcast. Paramount Plus, 3 matches in Serie A. English Championship. Wrexham's on at 7:30 against Sheffield Wednesday. Glad we didn't talk to Steve Cooke about that one. 3 at 7:30, 3 at 10. League One, 10 o'clock. League Two, the Carpetbaggers are taking on Grimsby Town. Grimsby Town apparently is looking for someone that can be their new mascot. 7:30. It's on Blue Sky. Dundee and Hearts is at 3 o'clock in the Scottish Premiership. Peacock, 2 matches at 10, 1 at 3. Women, the Zone Liga Femenil out of Spain, 6 a.m. Same for the German Frauen Bundesliga. Fox O&E has the U17 championship on Saturday all day long, as does Fox Soccer Plus. Peacock busting out the Super League. We need to catch back up with them, find out what's going on. Jackson, Carolina, 5 o'clock. Keep an eye on that. Lex SC's women and Fort Lauderdale at 7:30. Tampa Bay, Spokane, Dallas, and Brooklyn going on as well. So the Super League continues. We need to catch back up with Amanda Vandevort and find out about what's going on with her. February 1st, Sunday, just to let you know, BNB in Espanol, triple header in France. NBCSN has Premier League. USA has 9 o'clock Premier League, Villa and Brentford. ESPN Deportes, quadruple header La Liga. Fox Deportes, Serie A, Brazilian Supercopa, Flamengo and Corinthians at 2. Watch that. Telemundo, Premier League. 2 to NA, Liga MX at 6. ESPN Plus, A-League, Eredivisie, Bundesliga, Bundesliga B, quadruple header La Liga 2. Fox O&E, Italy, Serie B, Supercopa. Paramount Plus, Serie A quadruple header, Premiership in Scotland. Peacock, triple header Premier League. Women, U17 Championship, and the league we don't talk about on FS2. Golasso Network, the third place game, and the championship in the Women's Champions Cup. Asfar and New York and Gotham at 9:45. Still no update on Rose Lavelle. Arsenal and Corinthians at 1 o'clock for the $2.3 million prize. The Zone USA, La Liga Femenil, French Premier League, Frauen Bundesliga, Women's Super League on ESPN Plus on Sunday morning, Fox O&E, quadruple header in the U17 Championship, and that is your weekend in television. Brought to us by our friends. Where to watch, where to watch it. Brought to us by our friends at Fanatiz, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, helps you. Adding more matches to everything you're already watching. With Fanatiz, you get all the BNs, along with Teisei, matches from Argentina, more matches from South America, all in one place. At Fanatiz, one subscription, one home, fntz.co/soccer down here. Okay, now we mentioned Premier League. Let's get into juice boxes for the Premier League while we're thinking about it. Matchups, once again, you've got 5 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday, and Monday Night Football. Brighton and Everton, 10 o'clock, 3 at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Brighton favored at home against Everton at -114. Everton's a +309 on the road at the MX. Leeds a +487 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, taking on Arsenal, who's a -182. Wolves and Bournemouth at the Molineux. Bournemouth favored on the road at a +131. Wolves a +195. We'll get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo in a bit. Chelsea at 12:30 with West Ham. Chelsea a -200. West Ham plus 505. Liverpool at 3 o'clock in Newcastle. Liverpool a -123. Newcastle a plus 305. Sunday, no word yet on Baez Unk. Keeping an eye on it. 9 o'clock, triple header. And Unk is asking about Elias Baez from San Lorenzo and Atlanta United. We'll check on that in gossip, rumor, and innuendo. I haven't heard of an advancement yet, but we'll follow along and see what the words are. Aston Villa Brentford, 9 o'clock Sunday morning, triple header there. Villa plus 108, Brentford a plus 252. Manchester United hosting Fulham at a -172, Fulham north of 400, close to plus 410. Forest -104, hosting Crystal Palace at a plus 287. 11:30 Spurs hosting Manchester City. Manchester City -139 and Spurs a plus 342. Monday Night Football, 3 o'clock Eastern. Sunderland and Burnley. Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, -125. Burnley plus 373. And we do have February 6th. What is February 6th? Where's my book? February 6th, we actually have Leeds and Forest. What is February 6th? Does anybody know? Friday. We got Friday Night Football coming up at the end of this week, too. So keep an eye out for that. All right. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Since Unk mentioned no pockets, so let's. Unk mentioned Elias Baez. So let's see if there's anything going on involving him and San Lorenzo. So I have yet to see. So let me do the Google search and see if there's anything there. San Lorenzo. So Baez, Elias Baez, and San Lorenzo. 3.5 weeks ago, they were close to a deal. Month before that, it was a rumor. So if we were to do what Transfermarkt traditionally does in their rumor mill, so let's do the rumor mill and see if we can come up with something. And yes, so I'm choosing the rumor mill. And so search club player league. So let's do this. So if we were to search Atlanta United in the rumor mill from our friends at Transfermarkt, right now, yes, Atlanta United FC, come on. What we got, Adrian Gill came to happen. Guillermo Rodriguez, he went to Valencia. Edwin Mosqueda, Elias Baez, nothing as of the 12th. So nothing official as of the 12th. And so Elias Baez, San Lorenzo, keeping an eye on it. But once again, remember, you've got the weekend if you want to try and figure something out. Okay, now let's check Rumor Mill and let you know what's going on. But thank you for the reminder, Unk. Okay, so no surprise that Raheem Sterling and his reps are in talks with 7, according to Sky, Champions League level clubs who want to sign him. Spurs seriously considering signing Sterling, who's now free. Thomas Frank is on board with the move, according to Team Talk, on board in quotes. Burnley, along with Juve and Napoli, also interested in Sterling. It's the 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Manchester United will not be signing Cole Palmer. Bosses know the England international is out of their price range. Chelsea's planning on spending €150 million on Jude Bellingham this summer. That's from Fischajes, £129 million. Ajax are set to sign Alexander Zinchenko on loan at Forest from Arsenal on a permanent deal, about €1.5 million, £1.3 million, plus add-ons, dependent on Ajax qualifying for Champions League. That's Fabrizio Romano. Unai Emery is on Real Madrid's short list, according to Sky Germany. Chelsea remain in talks with Rennes to sign 20-year-old French center back Jeremy Jacquet before the window closes. That's from our friends at GMS. We'll catch up with what Ben Jacobs has to say in a minute. Real Madrid want to sign Manchester United fullback Diogo Dalot because of their defensive weaknesses. Manchester City have agreed to send 17-year-old defender Stephen Mfumi on loan to Watford, Fabrizio Romano. Activity from Southampton, West Brom, Sheffield United, hunting Rays Cleary for Barnsley, Oxford United, Sheffield Wednesday looking to bring in a 32-year-old midfielder, and Grimsby set to sign a 20-year-old Albanian midfielder from Arsenal. Okay, so now let's get into what our buddy Ben Jacobs has to say and what we need to keep an eye on there. We'll look at things domestically as well, see if we've missed anything there, and let you know what we are staring at in that regard. So it is from Ben this morning. Fenerbahce made an official bid to Angers for Siddiqui Sharif. Players keen on the move. Transfer to Palace seen as unlikely. Jean-Philippe Mateta made it clear to Milan last year he wanted to join, and his preference remains unaltered. Move to Italy's always been his top choice, despite newer Premier League interest. Milan now back in the door. Mateta is keen to a move. Forest have also improved their £35 million offer to Palace. A Mateta exit could prompt Crystal Palace to sign Jurgen Strand-Larsen. Wolves are also trying to sign Shea Adams, as revealed through Alex Cooke in Talk Sport. Like I said, there'll be a test on this later on. Oscar Bob is holding up the jersey and smiling on camera, so it's officially official. Fulham, Bob joins Fulham for Manchester City for £27 million. City retain a 20% sell-on and matching rights. Bob is signed until the summer of 2031. He's going to wear the number 14. We mentioned the playoff draw. Just have the draw. Don't do the double over and pair them together and all that stuff. Rangers holding an interest in Southampton forward Cameron Archer. Danny Roll still hoping for another attacker before the window closes. We mentioned Siddiqui Sharif. West Ham have approached Chelsea over a loan for Axel Disasi. Chelsea prefer to sell, meaning options are being kept open. West Ham also have other targets as well. And Shea Adams, by the way, right now is at Torino. And so keep an eye on that. Alex Cooke, Torino, Shea Adams, Wolves are kicking the tires. Max Dowman with Arsenal. He has the official smiling face and the pin hovering above the contract, so you know that that's official. Sophia Jakobsen has left London City to join Toluca on an 18-month contract from London City. Deals understood to make Jakobsen the best-paid Swedish female player ever. Palace yet to submit their formal bid for Jurgen Strand-Larsen despite agreeing to a 45 plus 5, that's in pounds. Transfer is in doubt after Palace agreed to a deal for Evan Gesson. So keep an eye on that. So if Gesson has kept, or it means that is their alternative to Jurgen Strand-Larsen, keep an eye on Jurgen Strand-Larsen and Wolves and see if anybody else kicks the tires. This was interesting yesterday. Karim Benzema is asked to be excluded from the Al Ittihad squad to face Al Fateh on Thursday. Follows unproductive contract extension talks between Benzema and Al Ittihad. Benzema made the decision. It was not a call by Conceição, the coach. But yeah, it was Benzema. Pepe, don't know. Fulham and PSV, they're still kind of looking at each other. Small gap in evaluation following a £28 million bid. PSV want 30 and time to find a replacement. I think this gets done, but the more that Fulham is kind of not moving closer, obviously we got until Monday at, 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock local time? Well, Fulham and PSV, this is a staring contest right now. And Fulham has either got to figure out what they want to do. Do you want to do this? Do you want to bridge that $2 million? If you're PSV, do you really want the 30? Can you take 28 and maybe a future sell on or something? Keep an eye on that one. Also keep an eye on Josh Sargent once again. Sargent and Norwich and Toronto FC. 18 million was the last number that we had. Keep an ear out also for Philippe Clement. Philippe Clement, if he says that Sargent's still with the U21s, he's over there, we ain't doing nothing with him, then, once again, you run the risk of basically having Josh Sargent for the remainder of your year just kind of kicking the tires with the U21s if you don't get anything done by Monday. So keep an eye on Josh Sargent in Toronto as well. Let's look at things domestically and see if there's anything that I might have missed in the last little bit when it comes to people going places and looking at things. I know that's a really official way of sounding things out, Hoover. But we mentioned Cole Bassett. This is the intra-league deal. Portland getting Bassett from Colorado, finalizing the deal. $2.65 million in cash and add-ons take the fee in the neighborhood of 3.7. Colorado gets a sell-on percentage. Keep an eye on that. Orlando City, we mentioned Alex Freeman earlier in the show, stepping out and sitting on an Audi with Valencia, officially official. Sources for the purple team, according to Tom Bogert, finalizing a deal to sign Slovenian corner Dusan Stojinovic from Jagiellonia Bialystok. 25-year-old helps the back line. No further progress has been made in talks to sign Iago from Flamingo. Won the Polish League in 24. He's an athletic center back. Filip Lodarczyk, obviously the first one in the door with that one. Keep an eye on this one. Toulouse finalizing a deal to sign Jason Russell Rowe from Crew. Fees at around $2.5 million, plus add-ons, according to Bogert, plus a sell-on clause. He was out of contract at the end of this year. He wanted to go to Europe. And so now it looks like Toulouse, Jason Russell Rowe, keep an eye on that one as we have it. Then, once again, we mentioned, as we were going off the air yesterday, Timo Werner officially official. That San Jose now gets Timo Werner. That is officially official. And so that one is that one's in the barn. So you've got that one to keep an eye on. Mati Bogish is officially official with Houston, and you've got that. And you look at what has been going on with Houston in their window, and it is crazy. Crazy. DC United has acquired Sylvan Hefty from Hamburger SV. So Hefty, there are so many things to say about this. 28-year-old Swiss fullback under contract through 27, option for 27-28. He will pick up an international roster spot. Erkut Sogut, managing director of soccer operations, had a couple of sentences about him in the positive. 9+19 and 329 senior appearances since he first started play with St. Gallen. Aside from Hamburger and St. Gallen, Montpellier, Genoa, and Young Boys, Swiss Youth International joins Sean Nealis, Keisuke Kurokawa, and Nikola Markovic as defensive reinforcements for DC. First full season under head coach Rene Weiler, and they kick things off on the 21st against Philadelphia. So Sylvan Hefty from Hamburger helps out at the back line. And, yeah, the wimpy, Hefty has been mentioned a couple of times. LAFC has re-signed midfielder Ryan Raposo through the 27-28 season with an option for 28-29. 26-year-old Canadian, 7th MLS year, 5+8 in 127 regular season games. Previously played for Vancouver before joining LAFC in April of last year. John Thorrington said some positive things. Turned pro after Vancouver selected him number 4 in the 2020 Super Draft. The Whitecaps, he played under new LAFC head coach Mark Dos Santos. So there's your relationship there. So also on the board, Charlotte signing defender Henry Kessler. And so that's a free agency pickup. Kessler's under contract through this year. Club options for June 27 and 27-28 season. So the 26 season, the short season, the sprint, and then 27-28. So the next 3 time schedule windows. Henry Kessler is under contract now with Charlotte. 5+1, 135 appearances, all comps, Revs, and St. Louis City SC coming into his 7th season. Zoran Kornetis said a couple of positive sentences. Began his pro career after being picked number 6 overall in the first round of the 2020 Super Draft by New England. Earned 2 USMNT caps in 21. And so that is where Charlotte is with help at the back line. I know at some point we need to catch up with our buddy Will Pelagic and find out what's going on there. So, yeah, Mati Bogish, that number with Bogish is huge. And this is going to be one of those contracts, and you're gonna look at the outlay was the word I was looking for with Mati Bogish. $10 million in the investment, $6 million up front, another $4 million, and then you end up with percentages after that. Through 27-28, club options through 29-30. Third DP, one of the most expensive transfers in Dynamo history. Accurate. So Mati Bogish, $6 million up front, $4 million plus. Obviously, he's a DP, and Houston's got to figure out their DP situation because they right now have 4. So you're looking at $6 million plus $4 million. Good piece of business by Cruz Azul. And so now, to mark the signing in Houston, fans get a buy one, get one free to the home opener against his former club, LAFC. We need to get Glenn Davis in here because of the transaction in and of itself and the offseason that Houston has had with that signing. So we'll go over what Houston looks like and what San Jose looks like with those signings. So let me run through what the roster looks like now with Madi Bogusz in for Houston. And then, like I said, we'll go into San Jose now that Timo Werner is in the barn. So yesterday, here are the moves yesterday. We talked about Bogusz, talked about Alex Freeman, mentioned Mamadou Fall coming back to MLS, LAFC, Barcelona, now Barcelona to St. Louis City SC on a transfer. Sylvan Hefty, Ethan Horvath, comes from Cardiff on a transfer to Red Bull. But because even to the age of 30, Charlotte still had dibs on him. Charlotte got $150,000 in GAM over the next 2 years, and the best third-round pick of Red Bulls in next year's draft, if I remember correctly. So literally, you could, if you had dibs rights on Cristiano Ronaldo, just say, and Cristiano Ronaldo signed with somebody other than maybe Sporting Kansas City or whoever currently holds his dibs rights in Major League Soccer, you still could get GAM from the team that signs him or wants to sign him, even though you don't want to. You don't want to, you can't, doesn't matter. But you got dibs. So therefore, $75,000 in GAM 1 year, $75,000 in GAM 2nd year, and the best draft pick in the third round in 27. All of that to bring in Ethan Horvath, who's played professionally, and now he's 30 years old. But because you sat there and Charlotte was like, ooh, Ethan Horvath, dibs. You get $150,000 over 2 years plus a higher draft pick for that. Mentioned Kessler. Jovan Mijatovic goes from NYCFC to Eintracht Braunschweig on loan. Jodrick Pupe goes from Vancouver to Sint-Trudense on a loan. And then Timo Werner. So now into Houston with the $6 million plus $4 million plus other add-ons and things. So you've got 4 DPs right now. You've got a problem. Buy somebody down, then you're back to 3-3, and you've got the GAM to do it. $6.5 million in GAM for Houston, and I don't know which salary is the closest to go high TAM, but let's do this. So let's go to the salary guide and look at Houston. Let's look at Houston, shall we? So if I could spell Houston, then we could get into that. So you look at Houston and their current DP situation. Ponce, Guilherme, Linger. Okay. So Ezequiel Ponce, 2.852, base salary of 2.59. So 2.59. Hold on to that number. So then Andre Linger, who is a DP. Andre Linger is a DP at $800,000 and guaranteed comp of $888. Listed as a DP. And then Guilherme and Madi Bogusz. So Madi Bogusz, you get the impression that they'll probably leave Andre Linger alone with that $800,000 number that they've got. Don't want to buy him down anymore. Unless he sits there and says, yeah, okay, that's cool. And then Ezequiel Ponce might be the one to buy down. Base salary at $2,590,000, guaranteed comp $2,852,000. So that might be the direction you go with the GAM that you've got. You might buy down Ezequiel Ponce. So right now, Houston, on the weekend, tomorrow they play New England in St. Petersburg, Florida, not Russia. Inbound this year. Logan Erb, keeper, North Carolina State homegrown. Reese Miller, homegrown, Virginia defender. Augustine Buzat, fellow Sarsfield midfielder on a transfer. Lucas Halter from Botafogo on a transfer. Yeah, we got John Textor news too. Guilherme Santos, transfer. Ache, free, transfer. Marcanic on a loan from CD Castellon. Franco Negri from San Diego on a free, and then Madi Bogusz. You've got 3, 6, 9 in, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 out. 18 out in Houston. 9 in, DP, high TAM with Hector Herrera, and probably the GAM to buy down the GAM to buy down Ezequiel Ponce to make him a high TAM player to get to your 3-3. Lawrence and Ali, Nelson Quinones, Jack McGlynn, your U22s currently. So you keep an eye on those. San Jose on the flip side, right now, don't have a whole lot of GAM. And you're looking right now at, they got some space. I mean, right now, Chicho Arango, who is on his way to being introduced apparently at Atlético Nacional when Inter Miami plays tomorrow. Right now, the discussion is Chicho Arango set to be announced tomorrow. So it will be his 5th team in 6 years. And so that is set for tomorrow, last we saw. We'll check on that in a second on the back end of this conversation. San Jose doesn't play again until February 7th in Coachella when they play Charlotte, Portland, and NYC. 3 matches in a week. $4 million in GAM. Chicho Arango, Timo Werner, your DPs. Noel Buck is your only U22. You've only had 3 inbounds this season. A keeper that was with FC Cincinnati, 2. A homegrown, and Timo Werner. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 out, including Christian Espinosa. We still don't know the full story on that. It was reported by Landon Donovan that somebody forgot to file the paperwork on the option. That's how he ended up in Nashville. Mark Anthony K out. Joseph now in Tijuana, playing for Xolos. Rodriguez, Carlos Gruezo, Bruno Wilson, Chance Cal, Nick Lima retired, Cruz Medina alone to Guadalajara Chivas. So that's what San Jose has right now. Needed scoring, needed help, bringing in Timo Werner. So Londoño, let me see if we have with, let me see, Joe, where's my Londoño notification? Anyway, it disappeared. Chicho Arango. So if I could spell Arango, then I could give you a proper answer. But as of yesterday, it was set to be announced. And so, let's see. He arrived at the airport. He arrived from his flight yesterday, 12 hours, so late night yesterday. Begins his medical today to be officially announced as a new player for Atlético Nacional. Signed jerseys at the airport, the whole thing. They had folks that were waiting for him. So right now, Chicho Arango set to be announced tomorrow. Verdolaga going all out in 2026. So Chicho Arango, 5th club, 6 years, arrived from his flight last night. Pepe Sierra is quoted as saying that Sin Boleta and Fanatis, Chicho Arango cut his salary by 60% to fulfill his dream of playing for Nacional. So what did Chicho Arango make? Chicho Arango made $2 million base, guaranteed compensation 2.2. So he is making, in theory, somewhere around the neighborhood of $800,000. 60%, 1.2 minus 2. Yeah, so $800,000 base is what the number is, according to Pepe Sierra, for Chicho Arango to go back to play for Atlético Nacional. That's what he's staring at right now. So that's your Chicho Arango update. So you've only got 1 DP in San Jose with Timo Werner. And you've got 1 U22 in Noel Buck. So no word on if San Jose is going to be doing the 3-3, if they're going to be doing the 2-4. Don't know. I have no idea. To be a fly on the wall in Bruce Arena's room these days, that would be crazy. What is San Jose going to look like? Man, that would be crazy. So, trying to see if there's anything that I have missed this morning that might have flown below the radar here. And let me go, and then I'll get into stories and things like that before we go into the weekend. I think we got John Textor. Hello. Everybody's favorite bad penny popping up once again. So if you do a John Textor Botafogo search, now everybody's bad penny. So he has been banned from Botafogo. He's been banned from selling players by the Brazilian courts. The latest with John Textor. Brazilian court has stepped in. Eagle Football Holdings Bidco removed him from his director role. According to Agence France Presse, a judge in Rio de Janeiro imposed a precautionary suspension on all acts related to player and asset sales, citing reports of rushed negotiations. Textor was ordered to state within 48 hours whether transactions or dividend distributions have been made, are planned, or are underway. Back on the 20th, British courts rejected Textor's appeal against in the Iconic suit to pay €95 million to Iconic over an agreement regarding stock market listing of Eagle Football. Aries removed Textor from Eagle Football Holding after he tried to regain control, tried to oust two independent directors of the holding company in order to then remove Michel Kang and Michael Gerlinger from Lyon. Didn't happen. Botafogo been moving players out in recent weeks. Severino goes to Fluminense. Freitas and Ricardo join Palmeiras and Dinamo Moscow. So John Textor is still trying to swing some things one way or the other. And it was interesting. And this is, in this case, you really do have to follow. You really got to follow all of the breadcrumbs here because it's important when it comes to the global landscape and what it means and what you can do and what you can attempt to get away with and what you can't. So you end up with John Textor trying to transfer Danilo to Nottingham Forest for €19 million. Montoro would revolve around 14. But since Botafogo has a debt of €20 million, and this comes from folks in Brazil, from Globo, Botafogo has a debt of €20 million with Nottingham Forest because of transactions and such. So only €13 million would effectively come in with the transaction. Conversation with Forest was conducted, according to Globo, in isolation by Textor. The other Botafogo execs did not participate in the negotiation and were irritated upon learning the possible departure of those two players. So it appears that John Textor was trying to figure things out on his own, having conversations with Evangelinas Marinakis, whom apparently he has a debt to as well, try to send players that way to try and defer the debt or buy it down. Hey, well, if, we do remember the conversations that were had with John Textor about the discounted rates? The discounted rates conversation that he had was on the Botafogo YouTube show. Well, yeah, it's what we do all the time. You look at things, you look at all these variables, you look at injuries and such. Danilo was surprised by the chance of a sale, has a plan to stay at Botafogo until the Copa. And so you look at all of this, it revealed his retirement plans, impossible to do it like Felipe Luis. Now, I'm going to go back and see what else Globo had. Okay, so Textor promises to pay off his transfer ban debt and says he has investors to invest $50 million in Botafogo. And this came out overnight. And he says he will personally pay Atlanta United for the debt from the Thiago Almada transfer. He will personally do it. And he was at Nilton Santos to watch Botafogo and Cruzeiro. Debt led to the transfer ban that Botafogo currently has. The owner of the SAF also revealed who the investors are who, according to him, promised an investment of $50 million US dollars. Because of this, and according to Globo, Vijalba, Italo, Riquelme, and Wallace Davi have not yet been able to play. He went on Botafogo TV, quoting Textor. My intention was to have all the internal approvals by now. I wanted to announce that we'd finalize this before the game because things are taking a while with Aries, who have invested in 3 separate tranches close to $500 million with John Textor. I don't want that. It's nothing like a pop-up window. So things are taking a while with Aries. I told the association club that I will make a personal investment in the amount we need to pay Atlanta United to lift the transfer ban. I was hoping to announce this before today's match. I believe we will have resolved this with the association club because I need their approval. I think I will resolve this before the match, or a day or two before. I will personally fund the payment to Atlanta United to end the transfer ban. This allows us to add players we would like to the team. Textor said the partners for the 50 are GDA Luma Capital and Hutton Capital. GDA Luma Capital, for those of you that may not know, 2 offices, New York and Miami, came online 3 years ago. And GDA Luma, just to give you an idea, is a business, and this is their words. This is GDA Luma, an investment firm focused on special situations and value-oriented properties. GDA Luma seeks opportunities with significant asymmetric risk-reward potential, meaning one heavily outweighing the other, leveraging upside catalysts such as cost-saving initiatives, technological advancements, and other operational enhancements. This is from GDA Luma's front page. Led by Gabriel de Alba, 75 years in combined experience in control-oriented investing. GDA Luma's extensive relationship networks and strong market reputation consistently provide access to new potential opportunities. They have what they refer to as a white knight strategy. Target positions in senior secured debt of middle market companies with historically strong businesses but over-levered balance sheets. They acquire debt at a discount to par, emphasizing downside protection, and then they recapital, and then they generally, the investments generate equity-like returns, maintaining credit-like risk. They take a lead role in restructuring to organize creditors who lack the expertise or face portfolio, new money, or structural limitations to drive deleveraging, reduce process costs, renegotiating contracts, and positioning companies for long-term success. Collaboration with management and board members, enhanced governance, cultural alignment, seeking to maximize value through exit processes with natural buyers. Targeting middle market companies, they acquire the senior debt at a meaningful discount to intrinsic value to companies. We're often the only non-original lender, in this case they're not, which would uniquely position them in the restructuring process. So GDA Luma saved Cirque du Soleil once. But when GDA Luma came online, and we have reached out to their PR arm to see if we can have folks come in and explain their business model. GDA Luma came online in 2023. Gabriel de Alba was the man in charge, GDA. Todd Bowley and Marcelo Claure, you know those two names, anchored GDA Luma. And they distressed shop GDA Luma set to launch, anchored by billionaires Bowley and Claure. That's an article from Buyouts Insider back in April of 2023. So Todd Bowley, Marcelo Claure, pairing with Gabriel de Alba for GDA Luma, a little over almost 3 years ago. They look like they are now attempting to help out John Textor with this current debt crisis. And God knows what the interest rate's going to be. So if he does, in fact, go down this road. So GDA Luma is the other name to stare at now. A toxic asset manager. That's what you're looking at when it comes to John Textor and GDA Luma. So he has said he's going to take care of this himself. Hutton Capital. We have yet to look at Hutton Capital. And Hutton Capital and GDA Luma probably staring at each other going, how much do you want to put in? You want to go halvesies? Alternative business financing is how Hutton Capital refers to themselves. Assisting individuals and organizations financing and enhancing business activities in a quick and efficient manner. Providing borrowers with quality financial solutions along with the support and advice during the loan process. Value-add investment approach. Partner with the borrower to provide strategic and analytic resources to build and grow. Success built on the collaborative approach, skilled teams generating best ideas. Fully aligned with the investor, committed to the time-honored tradition of investor confidentiality, long-term partnership. Well, so much for that. Long-term partnership, sustainable growth. They have asset classes, asset-based lenders, whether it's lending, solar financing, liens, deeds, residual financing, consumer lending, AR and PO financing, mobile home financing, all these things. Helping organizations obtain liquidity. So GDA Luma, which is Boley and Clowray, when that started along with them 3 years ago. Then you have the Friedman family, Robert Schechter and Gregory Price at Hutton Capital Management, based in New York City. Owner of Botafogo's SAF did not give details of the contract to receive the money, did not explain, for example, if there would be interest on the payment or what the guarantees would be for the investment to arrive. It needs to be approved by the club's association and directors of the SAF. So John Textor said that Hutton supported him years ago when he bought a technology company. GDA Luma says they provide credit, interest, invest in equity. Other investors whose names haven't been released to the press. Project started when I spoke to Aries, tried to find a peaceful way to treat everyone well and end a relationship, according to John Textor. So the required reading is probably Globo today. So Textor is losing influence at Botafogo, and it looks like he's going to GDA Luma and to Hutton Capital for $50 million emergency to get rid of the ban on selling players. And he tried to send Danilo and Montoro to Nottingham Forest at a discounted rate. Aries got mad, sent a letter. Textor says, I'm at war with Aries in France. So John Textor says he's going to sit there and he's going to pay it himself, but get help from GDA Luma and Hutton Capital Management. When on the header it says alternative business or alternative capital management, finance management. That's what you're staring at right now. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that as we go, and we'll see where we are. Let's see. David, the stuff generally does this reorganized debt equity saddle company with costly ownership, strip out the cash, hurt quality of the product, and then dump it for cash later. Alex, did they manage to get through that whole statement without using the word synergy? Yes, they did. They absolutely did. Absolutely did. And Derek, you're probably not the only one. Derek says, I wish that guy'd go away. Everything is, the window is closing on John Textor. It is. It is closing. 2 syllables long and hold the word. All these walls are coming in. And I am intrigued at this, but it is important in the grand scheme of things to understand the financial aspects of the business. And Atlanta United has unfortunately learned this lesson the hard way. Learning this lesson and trying to go, hey, you and anyone that wants to, going forward, have any kind of partnership, investment, trade, what have you, with Eagle Football Holdings, you should look at this and this last year. And that should be your answer as to whether you should or shouldn't. But obviously, we're going to keep an eye on it. And it is a lesson learned for a lot of folks. Sadly, it's a lesson right now. Atlanta United's having to figure out how to get $31 million out of an alleged stone by the name of John Textor. Says he's going to pay it personally. I don't know what his liquidity is at the moment, but my guess is that's where GDA Luma and Hutton are coming in for another short-term loan, probably at an astronomical interest rate. So this can go in that direction to get rid of that, to help Botafogo so they can have the transfer ban removed, so they can get the 4 players in that they've already signed and what have you, and get that moving for Botafogo. Botafogo's still winning, but you still got a transfer ban of 3 windows that you're trying to wipe off the books. But it's stuff like this that's important. I know that it is a long story. It has been a long story. But understanding all of the tentacles, all of the different directions, and all the branches of this tree, it's important. Because when you see GDA Luma started with the folks like Todd Bowley and Marcelo Claure, familiar names, coming back into the circle, doing other things with other people. And you see where those names are in the landscape as they're affecting everything else. I think our friend Jason Stevens said it a couple of months ago. Next couple of years, you may only have 8 companies that would be in charge of about or have impact in 80% of all of the heavy teams in the pyramid worldwide. So it's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, it literally is. David, it is. It's like, call me, lose my number. So morning, David. Morning, Alex. Morning, Derek. Morning, Unk. Let's see. Morning, Abby. And let's see. And morning to all of you who've been watching this morning. It's been a fun morning, and it's been a really cool morning. So it is one of those things that we learn a lot. We get ready for a weekend because it's an important day. Atlanta United has their first ever in 2026 preseason match that counts. Glad we could catch up with our buddy Steve Cooke and find out what goes into coaches' mindsets on days like this. Glad we were able to catch up with Dave Dixon, the new head coach at Greenville for Greenville Triumph. Zach Prince, the interview with the technical director and GM of both Triumph and Liberty coming up this weekend. Keep an eye out for that. Also, keep an eye out for interviews with the UPSL folks that are chasing after championships. We're efforting Provo FC, and then we are also efforting what's going on with the team out of Arizona, and we'll have those interviews for you, hopefully taped, and we'll run them this weekend as a part of Roots, as these 4 teams were chasing after championships of the UPSL. Late night tonight, 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock Eastern time on the UPSL soccer website and on their YouTube. So you can go there and catch that. So it's been another fun week. It's been another full week, and it is running it down. Abe, Bart, Keeler, Chad Emerson from Hunt City, Nino, Nico, Boris Linares from New York Renegades in the UPSL, Dave Dixon, and Bart again, and our buddy Steve Cooke. Reminder, 12:40, hour and 27 minutes from now, atlutd.com/live, Goose and the Hoff. Brad Gazan, Joe Freihofer, they're going to start your activity. Shortly after 1 o'clock, it's going to be Mike and Jason, atlutd.com/live, Atlanta United, and Lex SC. Can't thank Nolan Galbraith enough for all of the windows to open up Lex SC this season. It's been really fun to do that. So, also, on the weekend, remember, Best of SDH AM, 92.9 The Game, Off the Woodwork podcast section, Odyssey app, everything else that we're posting, all the things all over the place. Another full week. I'll be back at it again next week. Next week, we're going to catch up with another owner who is investing in MCOs based in the U.S. Jordan Gardner is going to join us on Tuesday. I think our friends from Ball Watching in St. Louis are going to be joining us on Wednesday. And we're going to continue to roll on as we get ready for the regular season of Major League Soccer with all the things, all the people. CONCACAF Champions Cup, the Triple C starts this week. We're trying to catch up with our buddy John Arnold. Maybe talk a little Texas Tech football. So it's going to be busy again next week, but that's the early part of next week that we know right now. So, as always, thanks to all of you for another great week here at SDH AM. And because it is the end of the week at SDH AM, which Platiel played safe, we're out in only one way, 12:40, atlutd.com/live. Goose and the Hoff started. Mike and Jason follow up. Lex SC and Atlanta United Tata Martino's first match back preseason for Atlanta United here in 2026. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, especially tomorrow. We'll catch up with you in about an hour and 25 minutes at atlutd.com/live.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours because it's Friday.